So the next topic is database cloning via DBCA. This might surprise you guys because can we really clone database via DBCA? No, right? Because we use DBCA only for creation of database or deletion of the database. No, there is an option through which you can create a database clone via DBCA. It's very simple and sweet method. But the only challenge is you use this method only when the database size is pretty small. When we say pretty small, only in few GBs, you can go for this method. Let us look at how this method works. We use DBCA for database creation and deletion. DBCA also allows you to create a template of existing database. Now I would want to draw your attention towards the screen where DBCA will ask you to choose a template. It will have some general database template or custom database template. When we create a database, you will see these two templates on the second screen where you will mostly choose the general database template and then click on next. What DBCA allows you is you can also create a template from an existing database which is running on a server. Now when you create this template, it will actually get the structure of the entire database. It will get all the data inside the database and it will create a new template. Now this new template, you can use it on any server to recreate the database. So the same template can be used to create any other database. How it works? On the source database, this is the DB which you want to clone. What you need to do is you need to start DBCA, create a source database template with data. Now there are two options you have in DBCA. Whether you want to create a blank template will have only the structure of the database. It won't have the data inside the database. Or you can create a template with data. It will have the entire structure of the database along with all the tables and every data inside the database. And finally, on the target database, you create a new database using this source template. So what you need to do is you need to move these template files from the source server to target server, and over there you need to create a database using DBCA while referring to the template files which you have copied from source server. So let us look at this activity. So here we have our ProdDB, and what we are going to do is with DBCA, we'll be creating a template for ProdDB, and then we'll clone this ProdDB onto a different server with a different database name, and the entire activity will be done through DBCA. Now before cloning, just to make sure that we also get the data from source to destination, I'll create a test table using the sysuser, and once the cloning is done, we'll perform a check whether this test table exists on the cloned database or not. So create table test, serial number, number data type, and then name varchar 220. Okay, this is already being used, so create table clone test, serial number, name varchar 220. Okay, table is created. Insert into clone test values, and then we'll give ampersand serial number, then ampersand name, so that our query will ask us what is the serial number. It is 1, name is 1. Once again, when I execute 2, 3, and 4, commit, select star from clone test. Perfect. We have this table as this user, and after cloning, we'll just make sure that this table exists on the target or the cloned database or not. Fine. Once you are ready for the clone, you will have to initiate DBCA. Now DBCA being a graphical tool, will have to use VNC viewer in order to connect and invoke the DBCA. So start VNC server. I think it will already be running on this server. Okay, it says we'll have to connect to this host name :2. So as I told you, never use the host name, always go with the IP address :2 and your VNC viewer will connect. Let me invoke VNC viewer. This is the VNC connection to the prod VM. You can also check the PMON once again from here. We have the prod DB PMON up and running. So what we will do is we'll invoke the DBCA, and first of all we will understand what are templates, because using the templates only will perform the cloning. So this is the welcome screen of your DBCA. Click next. And you see these options: create a database, configure database options, delete a database, and the last one is manage templates. Now this is the one which will allow you to create a template, which will allow you to save a template, and with these templates only you can create another database. So before getting into manage templates, I will get into create a database. Next. Now these are the templates that you use to create a database. Might be, if you remember, whenever we had created a database using DBCA, we generally go with this general purpose template. Now these templates, the custom database, the data warehouse, these three templates are provided by Oracle itself, so that you don't have to create the databases like all the structures and everything, not required. All these structures are pre-designed by the Oracle for you. Now what I'm doing is I'll go back and we'll get into manage templates. Next. Now the options that you have over here is create a database template or delete a database template. Now if I go to delete a database template, the existing templates will come up. I can delete any one by choosing any one template, but that's not the goal. What we need to do is we will be creating a database template for our ProdDB database. So when you create a template, there are multiple options. You can create a template from an existing template. That means either you can create another template from a general template or data warehouse template, or what you can do is you can create a template from an existing database, but there is a condition: structure only. It means only the database structure will come, all the metadata and everything will come, but you won't get the user data. But our goal is to go for full clone. Now this is the option for an existing database, structure as well as data. So this is the option we'll choose and we'll click on next. You will have to choose the database for which you want to create the template. In our case, automatically it will choose the ProdDB because there is only one database instance running on the server. Click next. You need to specify the template name. So the template name we'll give would be ProdDB _ clone template. This is our template, and remember all your template files will reside under Oracle Home, Assistants, DBCA, Templates. This is the location where all your database templates will reside. Now if you want to clone this template onto a different server, you need to push all these files from this location to the other server, same location, Oracle Home, Assistant, DBCA, Templates. Nothing to worry, any which ways we'll be seeing that task as well. Now after giving the name to your template, you can even give some description if you want to. Click on next. Now you have two options. See, when I'm taking the current structure of the database, there is one constraint. The constraint is you have multiple files in the database, like your data files, your control files, and all those files have some location. Now do you want that the same locations be used everywhere? Yes, we can keep that option. The issue would be not on every server you will have the same structure, or maybe not on the other server. I want to create a database with ProdDB SID. See, in the ProdDB case, if you check the data file locations, let us look at it. So if I go to /ssdba, select name from $data file. All the data files have this location name with the SID inside it, that is ProdDB. Now the question is, when I transfer these templates from this server to any other server, and when I recreate the database, I don't want that these default locations must be used. Automatically, Oracle must be so intelligent that automatically it should get the SID and create the locations as per the database. For example, if I create a test DB, it must create the location as Aura data, and instead of prod DB, it must take test DB. Now to do that, or to force Oracle to use the SID based naming convention to your locations, what you need to do? Select convert the file locations to use OFA structure. So Oracle Flexible Architecture, this is the one which will automatically guide or automatically give required locations for your new database. Now click on Finish. It will tell you the following operations will be performed. Creation of clone template, ProdDB clone template from the source database ProdDB. The data file information for this clone template will be at, so this is the location of your template file. The source database ProdDB will be shut down during the template creation. Now this is one drawback of DBCA. Your DBCA will bounce the ProdDB in order to create the template. So that's why, if you remember, when I was explaining about the DBCA cloning, I said it should be used only for very small databases and non-critical databases, which means where downtime is allowed. So click on OK, and it will start creating the template for you. Fine, so the database ProdDB clone template is created successfully. Click on yes, and then any which ways we don't want to perform any other operation. But one thing I want to show you, as I told you, when you create a template, it should be available in the list of templates. So just to check if the template is appearing or not, I'm clicking on create a database, click next, and we see that the ProdDB clone template is available. So this template is the one which we'll use to now create new databases and check whether the ProdDB data is available there or not. Okay, so for now what we'll do, we'll close DBCA and we'll go to the location where the template files are stored. So exit cd $oracle_home/ assistants DBCA and then templates. This is the location where all your database templates will reside. If we do ls-lrt, we see that there are 3 important files that are created for the ProdDB clone template. So these are the 3 files which you always need to carry with you if you want to clone this database onto any other server. Now our next goal is to create a test DB on the same server. So first what we need to do is we need to check the Aura tab file, cat/etc/Aura tab. Yeah, so we have only ProdDB database on this server. Now we can go ahead and create the test DB, because I was assuming, like in our previous activities, we created test DB manually. No problem. So let us look at how can we create a test database using the ProdDB clone. So invoke DBCA. Click next, click on create a database, next. Now in the templates, select the ProdDB clone template, next. Give the database SID. Now the new SID that we would like to give would be test DB, next. We don't want to configure any enterprise manager, no automatic maintenance tasks, next. We want to keep the same user ID and password for both system and sys user. Click next. It will just warn you yes. Next is storage type. Now, as we know that we have chosen OFA, we will never use OMF because OMF will be used in ASM. So always go with the common location for all data files. This is nothing but your OFA concept. The second one, if you are using ASM, actually you can't do it in a standalone database. This option you can use only when you have the grid infrastructure installed, going from 11G onwards. In 10G you can configure ASM with the standalone database also. So that's not the goal right now. What we'll do is we'll follow this common location for all data files and click on next. We don't want to configure any flash recovery area, no archiving, because we are just testing whether we are able to recreate the database or not, or clone the database. There are no scripts that we want to run while the database is being created. Click next. So memory and all will leave the default. Click next. Finally, your summary screen will come. So select the database creation option. We want to create a database. Click on finish. This is the final summary. And if you see, all your locations is Oracle base, Aura data, DB unique name. This DB unique name is testDB. Now, if we would have selected the other option while creating the template, it would have still forced to write into prod.db location. So it's good. Everything looks fine. Click on OK. And your DBCA will now clone your prod.db into testDB. So remember, before starting the clone, we had created a test clone table in the database. What we'll do is after clone, we will check whether that table exists or not, just to make sure our clone is perfect. Fine, so the database has been created. So click on exit. Let us check at OS level whether the testDB pmon is up and running or not. ps-ef grep pmon. You see that testDB is up and running. And now what we'll do is we'll connect to testDB and check whether the table which we had created in prod.db before creation of the template, it exists in the testDB or not. So we'll export oracle underscore sid equal to testdb scale plus / sysdba. Select name comma open mode from v$database. It is testdb. So the table that we had created was clone underscore test. So select star from clone underscore test. Here we go. We see the clone table also, which means using DBCA templates, you can clone any database. But remember two important things. One is you can use this method only for small scale databases and also non-critical databases where downtime is allowed. So we have completed the first activity where we tried to clone the database onto the same server. So what we did, we created a template of prod.db and we cloned it with the name of testdb. Now we will use the same template files, we'll move it to another server, nothing but our dev server, and onto the dev server we will try to use DBCA to recreate a database or maybe a dev database over there. So let us try to do that. So we are at the templates location. Let us check all the template files. As I told you, these are the 3 template files that we need to carry everywhere in order to show these files in the template list of DBCA. So what we'll do is we'll SCP these files from this server to our dev server and then we'll try to create a database over there. So SCP prod.db clone and then I'll give a star. I want to SCP to 192 Oracle @192.168.0.173 colon, and I want these files to be in the same location because Oracle home location onto the other server is also same as the Oracle home on this server. So basically the locations would be exactly same. Just enter. So we'll give the same password. Great. So files are being copied. It's pretty quick. Let's go to the other server. and we'll switch to Oracle user. So this is the development server, nothing but the dev server, where we'll be creating all the clone databases either using DBCA or maybe the arm and restore recover commands. So first of all, let us check whether we have got the template files or not. We'll go to the Oracle Home, Templates, Assistant. Okay, we'll have to first export echo $oracle_home. So there is issue with Oracle Home. This bin part should not be there. Let us edit the bash profile. Okay. So this part should not be there in Oracle Home. We'll save the bash profile, execute the bash profile. Now check the environmental variables. Oracle Home is pointing correctly. Now we'll go to the Oracle Home /assistants DBCA templates, and we see all our prod templates are copied over this location. Now on the dev server, what we'll do is we'll invoke the DBCA via VNC viewer. Let us connect. Now we have connected to the dev server using DBCA. Using VNC viewer. Let us start DBCA. So what we'll do is, as we have put all our prod templates into the dev server, the location is Oracle Home, Assistants, DBCA, templates location. So now your DBCA will pick up the template. Click next. The next option is create a database. So what we will be doing is we'll create a database using the prod DB template. So we see the prod clone template over here because we have placed all the template files into the respective location. Click on next. Give a database name. So what I'll do is I'll give the DB name as test DB, or we have already used the test DB. What I'll do is I'll give it as dev DB. This is the database name. Click on next. I want to disable the enterprise manager. We don't need the automatic maintenance task. Next. So give same password for sys and the system users. Click next. Just ignore warning. So we'll go with the common location for all the data files. This is Oracle based data location. Next. No flash recovery area, no archiving. Next. No scripts. Next. We'll go with the default memory configurations. And finally, our database creation will start. Create database, finish. Just go through the summary, check that database SID is correct, and all the locations are going into our Oracle base, data, DB unique name. Click on OK. Now what we have done is we have created the dev DB using the prod DB template, which means we are literally cloning the prod DB database onto a different server. So our database configuration assistant has created the DevDB database. The next goal is we need to go and check whether the clone test table exists or not, because before cloning that table was existing in the ProdDB database. So in your DevDB database also it must be there. Let us go ahead and look at the table. Fine. So ps-ef grep pmon. We see that DevDB is up and running. Let us connect to DevDB. Let us check the pmon process if it is running or not. So we see that DevDB is up and running. Check the environmental variables. Only Oracle Home is set. We'll have to export Oracle SID to DevDB. Now SQL plus /ssdba. Okay, so we are connected to the database. Select name, open underscore mode from $database. So once the database is created, automatically it will be started up. And we see that the database DevDB is up and running. Let us check our clone test table if it is there in DevDB, because this is the clone of ProdDB. So select star from clone test. Great. So we see that the table is also cloned, which means almost all the data, not almost, every data that was available in the ProdDB before we created the templates, it will be available in DevDB as well. So this is one way of cloning. This is simple sweet method where you create database templates. You can use the same template to create a new database on the same server with a different name, or you can use the templates on any other server and use DBCA to recreate a database with same name or maybe a different name. So we have seen both the cases, and DBCA should only be used when your database size is very small and when it is non-critical database where downtime is allowed.